At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts, Professor Chris G, and on the other line with me, if we had a third person, I'd call him my Doug Trio. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just hoping that my bit in this week's intro doesn't get completely cut out.
Why do you say that?
Well, what the fuck do you mean? Why did I do that? You're the one that cut out a good chunk of our beginning intro last week. Which, I mean, I understand why you did it. But...
You're like, wait a minute. We had a whole 10-minute conversation, and he cut out. I
was like, surely I must have accidentally hit a button. Oh no, wait a minute, he just took it out. I mean, like I say, I get it.
We just like you understand. Like we went on and we rambled a lot about Pokemon that I feel like a lot of people would have ended up jumping ship anyway.
Well, we rambled about Pokemon. I kind of poked a little bit of fun about you having a familial ranking system.
About my wife and being my best friend.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I mean, I get it. And I almost messaged you, but I didn't want you to be on the back foot.
I probably would have been asleep, bro. You probably would have messaged me and that thing would have went up into the ether something, and then I probably wouldn't have seen it until like 5 o'clock the following morning, and then I'm like, okay, I know he's asleep, so I'll get back to him later, and just never message back.
And then it never happened. And we both forget about it.
Kind of like how I do some YouTube comments every now and then.
Hey, I mean,
like, how do I respond to this?
Some comments you got to sit down and you got to just attack it. You got to have a nice cup of coffee. You just got to attack it. Some comments you just can't, respond and move on.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna lie. I see some weird comments. Like, some of them are really good. Like, they're okay. And I want to throw this out there. So we get a lot of comments, whether it's either via email, like we get a lot of people that actually DM us. I get asked a lot for people wanting to come onto the show. But the reason I don't answer certain ones, especially about coming onto the show, is because there's an easy way to come onto our show. You go onto our Patreon page and you subscribe, and after a certain amount of time, you get to be a guest on our show, which we have some people that do that. Now, that being said, it's not that I'm just ignoring you. I kind of feel like it's being rude to those that do listen and follow the right steps to getting onto the show, because not everybody do we have go on to Patreon. Like, if you have something of worth, or we're doing a collab with you, or maybe if I reach out to you to come on to the show, you kind of jump that line, and then we can kind of do a nice little collaboration, because we started this show 3 years ago, and we have done many collaborations. Like,
Mm.
and I feel like we should probably pay homage to some of these people that have come onto our show and have given us like really good content. But I just, if I haven't reached out to you, you want to come onto our show, it's really easy to do so. Just just follow the right steps and you could be a guest on our show. It's really not that hard. And
Right.
I kind of feel like a dick kind of saying that, and I don't want to come across as one, but I just am I wrong in saying that, Doug? Am I wrong on airing that on the show before we get
No,
into
you
anything?
can't. I mean, it's nice to have engagement, you know, on the different platforms, but we have ways of, getting people on the show.
Yes.
If we, and quite frankly, if we start doing that and we start inviting everybody on that leaves a comment on our different socials, we'll never
We're gonna open up a
we'll
flood of
never
doors, and
yeah, we'll never not have a guest at that point because we'll just be booking people and it's like, okay, you're 48th in line, and
but
we're taking a break here because we're doing this movie or whatever.
yes. Speaking of, and I we have to sit down and find out what our summer movie is going to be.
Ooh.
Because it is now June, and normally we already have in mind what movie we're going to be doing for our summer, which normally comes out between July and August. But yeah, we me and you, we got to sit down and kind of hash that out. And I feel like we can kind of elaborate a little bit more on this on our next Poke Break. But it has been confirmed that Detective Pikachu is getting a sequel, and you would not guess who's actually a front runner to playing the villain in that movie.
I would not get. Well, then I'm not even going to sit here and waste 5 minutes trying to.
Will Smith is being rumored as being a head villain in the new Detective Pikachu movie.
Look out, Pikachu! He's coming for you.
I know you might get slapped. Just don't talk about his wife.
Oh,
Oh
oh
man.
boy.
But yeah, he's being I saw that being talked about, and it was being talked about really heavily this week. Like I couldn't go anywhere without seeing a headline about Will Smith on the potential of playing the villain in Detective Pikachu 2. And I guess the movie has been greenlit, but they just need a cast for the movie.
It
So
wouldn't be a bad little get. I mean, he did win the Oscar, and I mean, so that would lend a bit of oomph to the movie. And the first one was pretty popular.
he won the Oscar, and I'm not getting political here, but I mean he won the Oscar, but did he really win the Oscar? Because he won it, but he's kind of been blacklisted ever since his thing with Chris Rock.
But yeah. But see, the bitch of it is whether or not he had slapped, Chris Rock, whether or not he had reached his breaking point that night. He had already won the Oscar.
He did,
I mean,
but
obviously we can go back and say that in hindsight. I mean, his name was in that envelope the whole night. It's
but
not like he slapped him and they said, "Oh, we got this is good press. We got to give him the Oscar now."
but outside of Bel Air, which he is a head writer in, he doesn't do it. He hasn't been cast in any movie since.
Well, see, but this is where I can play the other side of the argument. He has won an Academy Award. He has kind of earned the right to be choosy on his shit.
My
You
next
know,
project is going to be with Pikachu.
right? And I mean, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off for him. But I mean, it might not be my first move for my first big thing after I win the Oscar, but I'm not Will Smith.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, people make the argument that maybe that's more you than me, and I'm not going to say that I haven't seen it.
So, and like I said, I mean, this can play out on the next Poke Break that we're doing. I think the next Poke Break is next week, by the
I
way.
believe it is. It was going to be this week, but it got pushed.
Yes. So, so I won't spend too much time on this, but could you imagine maybe this is his way of kind of staying face and getting like the younger people, because Pokemon reaches out to everyone. Like
Hmm.
when there's a big blockbuster movie for Pokemon, everyone knows about it. Everyone sits down and watches it, whether it gets as a theatrical release or if it goes straight to TV. People love it, and
Right.
they wouldn't keep making these movies if these movies were not making money. So, that being said, the reach that this could have for Will Smith to come in, play a villain on a very big blockbuster movie with Ryan Reynolds could just be huge.
Oh, it's big, and I mean, from Will Smith's perspective, I'll show them how versatile of an actor I am. I can play this big dramatic role and get the Oscar for King Richard. And I can straight up go the Jim Carrey route and be a villain in a comic or in a video game movie.
Yep.
And Jim Carrey got a lot of buzz for his roles in the Sonic movies. So I
He
mean,
is fantastic in Sonic.
yeah. So I
I
mean,
love him in Sonic.
it's not like, yes, he's breaking a mold in terms of winning the Oscar and then this being his next big project. But there's a precedent that's been set in terms of how a big star can approach a role like that. I'm not necessarily trying to say that Jim Carrey and Will Smith are on the same level.
Because they're
I
not.
don't. Well, they're not. I mean, one's got an Oscar, one doesn't. But not that that matters. But I'm just saying, one might be a little more elevated than the other. But like I say, it'd be a hell of a get for Pokemon.
Yes. So it probably, at the end of the day, I don't think Will Smith does it for the money anymore, because I'm pretty sure that Will Smith is kind of set no matter
Oh, as
what.
long as he doesn't go smacking people.
Yeah. Because, I mean, he got lucky this time where they didn't press charges, but you slap the wrong motherfucker, you're about to make someone rich if they're not already rich.
And that could be a reason why Rock didn't do anything.
So, yeah. So, but that being said, so I just wanted to get that out there in regards to um Pokemon news. There's
See, I'm
actually,
not plugged in at all because I hadn't seen hide nor hair of that.
but it's soon. But now that I'm saying that, your computer's gonna hear you, and whatever Alexa or Google um does in the fucking background when they're listening to our conversations all the time, where I'm getting ad. I literally got an ad the other day, and my mother-in-law literally brought up something while I was at their house. She said some freaking word, and by the time I got home, I was seeing ads, and I screenshotted it and I sent it in our family group chat. And I was like, I should not be seeing this ad in my phone. I was like, I was like, you were just talking about this, and I didn't even Google it. And she's like, yeah, Google's some bitch. So
That,
now,
by the way, is nowhere near your mother-in-law. That's
no, it is not. I think that's the one and only
um,
time I'm bringing her up on the podcast too.
yeah. If that's going to be your impression of her, I suggested.
But
But and I'd also like to take a minute to apologize for anybody that happens to have one of those home speakers that you just activated.
yes, I did. sitting here going, "Hey Google, hey Alexa." So I just activated something in someone's house. So just sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey Alexa, add eggs to shopping cart.
No, 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 don't do that, Alexa. Damn podcast. Gotta fucking unplug my shit when I'm listening to you guys now.
And eggs are $20 a fucking dozen. What the fuck are they doing to me?
So in other Pokemon news, and I feel like since last week we didn't have a big talking segment, that we can have like a little bit more of an extensive one. But did you see what Metallica did at a recent concert of theirs? I think it was last weekend, as of this recording, or 2 weekends ago.
Okay, I did not know it was Metallica. I had heard. I think I must have heard the tail end of this, but I didn't realize it was Metallica.
Okay. So I'm curious as to what you heard, and then I will follow it up with what happened.
And again, I didn't get the whole thing.
Okay.
They do. It's a 50-50 shot. Did they do the theme song?
Yes. Yes, they did.
I was gonna say it was either the theme song or they fucking said YOLO and did the pokey rap.
No, they didn't do the pokey rap, but Metallica, in front of thousands and thousands of fans at a festival that they were, I believe, headlining, went on and did the Pokemon theme song at the festival as one of their headlining songs.
That's pretty badass.
And the only reason I found out was because our friend of the podcast, Jason Page, he saw the clip of it and he posted it on his personal Instagram and was like, "I would love to do a collaboration with Metallica. Somebody get the word out that I am willing on doing a collaboration with them." That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would. Fuck yeah, it would.
So let's get the word out there, everybody. If you haven't seen the clip is out there, and there's a professional video. So Metallica knew what they were doing when they were singing this song, and not only did they sing the song, but they had a professional photographer getting pics of the crowd, pics of the lead singer, pics of the band playing the song. They even had a drone flying around the stage for this performance for Pokemon. So you can find the clip out there. The whole video is out there. You can find it on YouTube. You can just Google it. It's probably on any like video site. It's all over Reddit. Go and look at this clip because it was amazing. And let's get this collaboration for Jason Page. Get the word out there that Jason Page wants to do a collaboration with Metallica, and let's make this happen for the Pokemon world.
Yeah, I'm looking at some clips. I'm not, obviously I'm not going to click anything because I don't want anybody to get a strike. And
oh, no, I don't even think you can get a strike because it's a cover song by Metallica.
Well, yes, but it's Metallica, and Metallica was one of the bigger acts involved in like taking down Napster and shit. So
yeah, that is true. So, but they Metallica does not own the rights to the Pokemon song. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's true too. That's fair. that's fair. No, we have the rights to our version, but that's not the. We're getting down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they did the theme song. It's out there, everybody, and we can probably elaborate. So this is just a small preview. If you like what we're talking about right now, please tune in next week when we go through and we have our Poke Break with one of our special guests on the show, and we sit here and we kind of just bullshit around and we talk some news. I'll give an update on the whole Pokemon Horizon series, which is doing fantastic. Love it. I cannot wait for this to be translated over into English, bro.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I still have to. Still have to sit down and watch an episode or two. I haven't
You're gonna
managed
need
to do that.
you're gonna need 2 episodes because if you're watching the first episode is broken up into 2 parts. So you're gonna have to set aside 40 minutes to watch that first
Gotcha.
episode. Just that.
Well, half an hour or so. If you go 1.5 times speed,
I don't think you want to do that because remember it's subtitles, bro.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
I know how you are with subtitles, and 1.5 speed might be too fast for us now. Like we're not.
Sometimes
we're not spring chickens anymore.
Sometimes I just be saying, "Fuck them subtitles." I'm just gonna watch the pictures.
I just want to see the pretty colors. So, all right. Well, that was a really, really, really great intro to our show, bro. But we do have an episode today.
It can only go downhill from here.
Or uphill if you're a Doug Trio. So we'll find out. So today's episode is episode 1139, titled, How Are You Gonna Keep Them Off the Farm? Or translated from Japanese, agricultural experience, where is Digda? So this episode premiered January 22nd of 2021, and here in the States, September 10th of 2021. I just want to preference this. Okay. Because I think I'm gonna stop giving the American date for right now until we get up to episode 1148. Because no joke, every single week it's gonna be September 10th, at least for like the next like month and a half, because
nice,
the American date is going along with Netflix, and Netflix just drops bunches of episodes all at the same time in English. I'm not going off the Canadian date because I know that they still do it weekly on Teletoon, but according to the English release date for the US, at least until we get all the way down there, it's going to be the same date. So I'm
gotcha.
I think I'm just going to start giving the Japanese date, but knowing me, I'm going to forget about this next week and still give the American date of September 10th, 2021.
And I'm not going to say anything until after you do it in 2 weeks. Well, yeah, you're definitely going to forget because we're not covering an episode for 2 weeks.
Yeah. So that being said, I'm going to forget on the next one, and you guys can call me out and you can DM me and send me a message that I will not read right away or reply to because I'm going to know that you're right, and I'm just going to sit here with the boo-boo face going, man, I did say that, didn't I? I did say that.
I didn't, and then I'm going to get tagged. Why didn't you stop me?
And you're like,
motherfucker, I told you what I was going to do.
You were on a roll. I mean, you like doing these dates. Maybe I should give the dates to you and just say, hey, Doug, when did this episode come out?
I mean, you could do that.
I could.
Until I get fed up with it.
And you're 2 weeks in, you're like, man, fuck this.
And then I say, I'm only focusing on the American release.
For real. So, sorry, and I'm sorry, again, everybody. I know I'm going to get the frickin' DMs now. You said you were going to be lessening on the cursing. I'm sorry. I mean, the episode is still listed as explicit, and I'm not going to go censoring every Pikachu that I say on this damn show. But
that's the hardest we've ever. I think that's the hardest we've hit a curse in a while.
Yes.
That one had a point to it.
So I'm sorry. I have been working on.
You're not sorry.
I'm sorry about the other one, not the MF that I just dropped on the damn show, but I say MF and then I just say damn. So I mean, it kind of
Well, hey,
counterproductive.
Damn's in the Bible, I mean,
It is. So, yeah, we do have an episode to get at. Again, don't DM me about my cursing. I'm sorry. It was a slip, and it's not going to be censored. And I know a lot of you. I mean, a lot of kids listen to our show, so I'm not even gonna. I mean, I'm gonna still put the disclaimer up that yes, it's an explicit episode. But come on, we've been doing this for 3 years now. So.
I'd say something, but I don't want to give you extra work.
What is it, bro? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know what I say about them kids.
Them kids.
Yeah.
Yes. No. We do like all of our fans. So I just want to I want to be politically correct. I don't want to get canceled, but
no, if you were gonna get canceled, you would have gotten canceled a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like people on you know what? I haven't spoken about this openly. And let me see. All right. I'm gonna make a note, and I'm gonna judge whether or not this is going to stay in this week's episode or not. So,
be prepared for a skip in 5,
4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and get on. We are very far into our recording, and we still haven't even touched this episode. And hopefully we can just get through the episode, because this was a really kind of nothing happening episode.
Y'all remember the episode a couple weeks ago where they went and they dug up fossils?
Get ready for another one.
Yeah, this time they're on a farm.
I'm on the farm.
Rootin' tootin', tell you what.
So, all right, everybody. So, we start this week's episode with Pikachu opening a Pokeball saying it's a Netflix original series. And I'm watching this on Pokemon.com, everybody. And we go through, and the narrator is telling us what he tells us every single week about Ash and Go and their big adventure, and how their adventure is going to be filled, and their Pokemon love them. And we get a nice little screen grab. And then now Pikachu is looking at a bunch of vegetables, and Pikachu is happy. And we have the professor's assistants going, yeah, they're straight from the farm, so they still need to be washed. And they're like, wow, Go and Ash are. And the narrator are, therefore, Professor Cersei. Professor Cersei sent a letter from Laxton, a former student of his who has been farming for the past 2 years. So he sent some nice fresh pictures of some fruits and vegetables that he has, and then the professor kind of takes a photo and is like, his farm has been overcome by Diglet and Doug Trio. And they started appearing on the farm and causing a big problem to Diglet. And that's where we get the Rotom phone entry to Diglet, because why the hell not? Go has never seen a Diglet before. And the thing says Diglet, the mole Pokemon, a ground type. Diglet gnaws on roots below the ground. Depending on the kind of vegetables, it can cause great damage to a harvest. Doug Trio, the mole Pokemon, a ground type, and the evolved form of Diglet. These three make an excellent team. And that's where Ash is like, yeah, let's go and investigate why this is going on. And Go is like, yeah, I would love to catch a Diglet and a Doug Trio. I mean, why would you need to catch a Dugtrio if you can just catch a Diglet and just evolve it? But that's just me. And
Go hasn't really shown prevalence of being a trainer. He's more of a collector.
yeah, he just wants every type of Pokemon because he loves all Pokemon and he does not just. You know what? I'm starting to put two and two together. He is the character that does not discriminate against anything. He loves all Pokemon for what they are, and he just wants every single kind of Pokemon, and he doesn't care what type of Pokemon you are. He just wants you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the professor is like, man, I was hoping that you guys would say that. And Yapper comes running in, and there's Chloe, and they're like, hey, good morning. And the professor's like, I think Chloe would be a big help with your research on this trip. And Ash and Chloe are like, yeah. And Chloe's like, of course. I'll be so glad to see him again. It'll be so nice. We should get going. And the professor's like, I want a full report, you also should have a lot of fun. And that's where Ash, Chloe, and Go all say, yeah, we will. And then we fade away, and we are going down a long, long, long road. And then we see a bunch of cornfields, and our heroes are just walking. And then out of nowhere, I'm not going to go word for this, but Ash and Go and Pikachu see a big field, and they just start running. And Chloe's like, well, why are you running? And Ash and Go give the simplest answer that any kid would give in a time like this. Well, it's a big field, and we're not going to get anywhere just walking. So when it's a big field like this, you need to run. And then Chloe's like, all right. And she lets her Eevee out. And Eevee's looking around. And Eevee's like, oh, this is nice. And it's at this point that Chloe starts chasing after our heroes. And Eevee kind of looks at her and is like, are we really going to run? And she's like, yeah, whatever. And then that's where we get the theme song. And bro, it is your turn right after the theme song.
So we come up and we see our three heroes coming to the farmhouse. It's this, big bit of land, and then we see a random Voltorb is just kind of hanging out in the fields, and Eevee kind of goes over to, what's this? And Voltorb turns around and shocks her, and
that was not nice.
No, it really wasn't. But that Voltorb didn't know if that Eevee was friendly or foe. And so poor Eevee falls to the ground in a crisp, and she's got the big white eyes with no pupil, and Chloe's like, "Oh, Eevee, are you okay?" And Voltorb's kind of looking around, and Ash is like, "That's a Voltorb," and then Go takes out the Rotom phone again, and we find out that Voltorb is a ball Pokemon. No shit, and and it's an electric type, and it appears in places where electricity is generated, and it looks like a Pokeball. Once again, no shit, and. Goes like, all right.
Not the old-fashioned Pokeball. Well, I guess it kind of did back in the day. The old Voltorb was kind of made out of wood. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, see, there you go.
It's a ball.
Freaking, what was that? Pokemon Arceus Strikes Again.
Yes.
So it goes like, all right, I'm going to catch it. And then for the second time in 4 episodes, somebody has to pop in and go, whoa there, that's my partner there. What you trying to do? Wrangle my Pokemon. And
I love it when you do this character for these southern characters.
And this Voltorb helps me with my farm work. And and Chloe's like, that's Langston. And yeah. And he's like, Chloe, it's nice to see you come all this way. And he kind of tips his hat up, and he
spits in the bucket.
And he spits in the bucket, and he's like, "It's been a long time." And He's like, you sure have grown like a pretty little weed. And he,
you were
people are
this
gonna
tall
hate.
the last time I saw you.
People are gonna hate this episode. I don't give a shit. I'm having a ball. Um, I'm having a ball because it's a Voltorb. Oh fuck.
Facts.
If we lose this episode, we lose this episode. I don't give a shit.
This is fun.
And we have a flashback of young Chloe in the lab with when Langston was an assistant, and it's nice to see you again. And he looks over and he goes, I assume this is Ash and Go. So I assume there was a phone call, placed not long after they left. Otherwise, how the hell would he know who Ash and Go are? No, because Ash hasn't won the league yet, so he's just kind of a guy. And he's like, I am pleased to welcome you to Langston Farms. And everybody spits because that's what you do. And Ash is like, it's nice to meet you. Thanks for having us. And he's like, now, let's get settled. And Voltorb goes a-rolling with him. And, we go into the greenhouse, and Langston's like, this is some of my freshly picked produce. And he got like tomatoes, and there's eggplants, and Langston's standing at the front of the greenhouse. He's like, help yourself to anything that looks tasty. And Pikachu's excited to see the fresh tomatoes, and goes like, I didn't know tomatoes look like this. And and Chloe's like, the fuck did you just say? And has to like catch himself. He's like, well, I guess I knew it. But I guess I've never seen him like in this element. Like he's all like, he's pissed off that somebody called him on it, but he's also embarrassed.
Yeah.
And they all three of them take a tomato. They're like, this is some good ass tomato. And Chloe's like, this is out of this world. And then we see that Eevee and Pikachu have their tomatoes. They're just having fun. And Langston's standing up there. This is what I like to see. And he, I love the smiles like that. And then, he's like, this is why I research and I farm like this, to make people happy. And they're just chowing down on their tomatoes. And then Chloe picks up a handful of dirt, and she's like, this is some good soil. And Langston's over there. Oh, you happen to notice that? And he, and Chloe's like, well, yeah, I'm in charge of the flowers at school. And she's got a bit of a green thumb, and Langston gives her a tip. He's like, I gather old shells that the Golem have shed, and I ground them up and I use them as fertilizer. Chloe kind of gets an image of
a big
Langston.
Golem poop.
Yeah. Well, no, Langston's holding a shell, and she's like, oh,
That's
shoot.
Yeah, cute.
She's like, oh, really? And then we have a quick fade to Go, or well, not fade, but we pan over and we see Go, and Ash and Pikachu have collapsed in a heap, and they're like, I could need another bite. And even Eevee's kind of sitting there with his tongue out, like, which is, I'm surprised Eevee wasn't in the pile, because we've seen Eevee look like that during the fossil episode, because everybody had like fourths and fifths of the curry. And that's when Go kind of gets down to business. He's like, so where are the Diglet and Doug trio located? And
yeah, we didn't come all the way out here for nothing.
Langston's like, well, why don't you follow me and find out for yourselves? And he, and he and then we go out to the field and we see a bunch of carrots, and Langston's like, these are some of the biggest uh, yields we have on the farm, and you see, have all this stuff planted, um, and then that's when Voltorb kind of rolls past and goes like, "Is that the Voltorb from before?" And
Like,
didn't
it sure
freaking
is.
didn't Langston explain that when they first met Voltorb and Go almost caught him? Didn't he explain that Voltorb helped him like control the field?
Um, yeah, that he's basically security as his partner, and that he kind of helps patrol. Like he does security for the field.
So I mean, we see Voltorb kind of shocks a weed, and Langston's like, "Well, you see, Voltorb is so much better at doing all that than I am, and because I'm just one man, and he can just roll along the field and just zap, 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 and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, plug, golly," and um,
And
and
that's literally how he's saying it too. I
that's
mean,
exactly I mean, play the episode. And I challenge you to tell me that I'm doing it wrong,
and
and
and that's where Ash and Go are like, well, so he just gets rid of the weeds, and he's like, yeah, but look underneath, and then you see a nice little cute Diglet like right underneath where the weed was, where the hole is now.
and Voltorb's like, "Oh, you have fucked up," and 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 Diglet and Voltorb and Diglet are basically playing, cat and mouse, and that's when a bunch of Diglet start popping up in random spots, and um, sitting there, he's like, "So many Diglets," and Langston in so many words is, "How about that shit?" And
no,
and
no pun intended.
oh, and and this is where I kind of got a little mad because Eevee and Pikachu are just kind of sitting there watching Voltorb try to kind of wrangle. Like they could, you know, help Pikachu, especially. I'm sure could cover some ground. I mean, Eevee might be outmatched because we've kind of established that Eevee's kind of young, but three Pokemon on a herd of Diglet or a bunch of Diglet, whatever, is better than one rolling Voltorb. It's not even evolved yet, for goodness sake.
Facts.
And they're just sitting there going, "Look at this shit." And then, poor Voltorb is just rolling, and every time he thinks he's cornered one Diglet, another one pops up, and he gets distracted by that one, and
And
he's rolling.
let's not get past the part where Diglet freaking thundershocked the mess out of Ash just for like just being there. And
Well, now to be fair, to be fair on Voltorb's behalf, Ash got down on his level. He's like, "You're a good little protector, aren't you?" And Voltorb shocked him. But if you go back and you freeze frame the moment, Voltorb's not doing it out of vengeance. He's happy. He's like, "I'm a good boy," and he doesn't really have a tail to wag, so he just kind of lets his he let his excitement out. But we
okay.
go back and we see that Voltorb is just. I mean, if Voltorbs could breathe, he's like, "Fuck, this is bullshit. I'm just one Pokeball out here," and um, and he's like, "I could understand why the professor had you come out here and try to help me," and Ash is like, "We got to do something about all these Diglett," and he's like, "Maybe we can scare them off," and goes like, "And I'm gonna catch a couple of them," and
Cuz
then there's
that's the most important part.
And then they're all ready, and then they look around and they go, where did they go? And um, that's when freaking Langston picks up a half-eaten carrot. He goes, they've gone and hid underground again. And
No, because that's where the mole Pokemon live.
and then
Smart one.
we take a look at a Diglet, and he's like, you can't see me. If I'm not visible, you can't see me. And um and Langston's sitting there and goes, you can pull as many carrots as you need as long as it helps me catch Diglet. Heck, it's almost harvest time anyway. And that's when Go sends out his Cinderace, and they get on some gardening clothes, and it's like this big action sequence, and then they all fan out in different directions, and they're digging up carrots, and um, they're hunting for Diglet, and Go's sitting over there. He's like, I got all muddy, and that's when Langston walks over. He's like, heck, you're gonna do some good farm work, you're gonna get dirty, and Cinderace is like, I'm dirty. You ain't see me bitching.
Real. Like I just think it's funny because Cinderace, I love the animation that Cinderace and Go have when they're like picking these carrots, and Go's just going through. He's like, I'm gonna get you, Diglet. I'm gonna get you, Diglet, and he's just like taking all these carrots out, and Cinderace is like, I'm right behind you, and they're just picking up all these things, and you just see the Diglets just coming up like, hi, and they're playing like whack-a-mole, but they're not really whacking the mole. Get it? And oh, come on, that was a good one.
That was good.
So, and the Diglets are just moving, and freaking Diglet and Go like meet eyes at one point, and Diglet is just like scared shitless, and it's like, oh no, he found me.
He saw me. Shit.
He saw me. And it goes back underground and goes like, hey Ash, he's heading your way. And Ash is turning around and he's picking up all these carrots, and he looks over, and then there's a Doug trio, and Ash is like, all right, a Doug trio, and goes like, perfect, now go, and he throws his Pokeball, but the Pokeball fails because Doug trio is 3 times as fast as a Diglett.
And he goes underground for a segment, and he reappears, and you can see the Doug trio's kind of directing traffic with the Diglet, and he's like, you go here, and then the Diglet reverse course, and like they're going that way, now they're going this way, now they're going that way, and Ash like gets like big head, like dead Pokemon eyes. He's like, there's too many of them, what's going on right now? And
I can't keep up. I like Chloe's the best. Well, no, I like Go's the best because Go's over here just throwing Pokeballs like senselessly. He's like, over here, I'm gonna throw the Pokeball, and he throws the Pokeball, and it just it lands and hits Ash like square in the face.
Square in the nose, just bang,
boom. And Ash is like, fuck.
And Chloe's over there laughing. She's like, it looks like you're trying to catch Ash. And then we get a scene that's almost like it's from the video game, and
of Ash going into a Pokeball. That has to be some good animation. Like that, I think that was the writers just having fun right there. Like, what would a human look like being caught inside of a Pokeball?
And then we see Doug Trio directing traffic again, and then looks like the Diglet are kind of heading for the hills. And Chloe's like, they got away, and Ash is like, son of a bitch. And
just like
goes like, total fail, and Cinderace is sitting there patting him on the back. He's like, you'll get him next time, buddy. And then we get back, and we see a cart full of freshly picked carrots, and Langston's sitting there. He's like, "Thanks, y'all were a big help." And and he
Spits in a
um,
bucket.
he's like, "I managed to harvest quite a lot here today, thanks to y'all." Pih. And he's like, "Let's pick this up tomorrow." And he's like, "Son of a okay." And then we get the Who's That Pokemon, and we see that it's a close up of Diglet's nose. And oh, son of a bitch, it was Doug Trio. It was 50-50. And
It's Doug Trio. Trio.
then it was a good scene. And then we're in the farmhouse, and it's nighttime, and Ash kind of has a dumb statement. I mean,
I wouldn't call it a dumb statement.
I would. I mean, it's because we have the benefit of hindsight, I guess, so it's not fair. But Ash is sitting there, and he's like, I kind of get a feeling that Doug Trio was the leader, and um, and goes like, yeah, if we could catch it, the rest of the Diglet would probably kind of fall in line and stop coming back. And you see Pikachu's kind of hanging out by the fire, and Cinderace is just kind of chilling. And then all of a sudden we see
Eevee is playing with Voltorb.
that was adorable, and you can tell Voltorb's enjoying it because he'd be smiling. Because you can see his eyes are smiling.
Yes.
So he's having
He's having a ball.
Yeah, I was trying to not say it, but what the fuck. And they're sitting there and they're like, it's almost like the Doug Trio and the Diglett were coordinating to determine which way they should go. And I said, no shit. And she's like, and Chloe's like, if you look at it from our perspective, we were kind of disorganized.
Just a little bit.
And that might have a decent hand into why we couldn't keep up. And goes like, so you're talking about teamwork. And Chloe's like, so what if one person had a view of the entire field and could tell the others where to go? And I was like, that's a good idea, Chloe. You could do that.
Just like that.
Ash is like, yeah, I have no objections to that. And Eevee and Chloe kind of have a moment. And Eevee's like, yeah, you could do it. And Chloe's like, well, I give it my shot. And
I'll try.
And we fade out, and then we're back for day 2. And we see that Go and Ash are in their digging clothes, and we see that Chloe is up on the second floor deck with Langston.
And we also see on here that they've kind of coordinated like some flags. So they have flags at different parts of the field now, and they have walkie-talkies, and they're gonna catch these Diglet, and they're going to give them a run for their money. I'll just throw that out there.
They're gonna catch the Diglet, or they're gonna die trying.
Yes. So they got binoculars. They're ready, and freaking Ash and Go are down there. They're like, we're all complete. We're ready. And Chloe's like, all right, guys. And she's like doing like a little ring thing with her hand. I'm guessing that's kind of what they talked about, like it's a code or whatever. Because otherwise, I don't know why she's doing that with her hands.
And it's almost like she's ready to like drop her hands for a race or something.
Yes. So basically, and I'll have you finish the scene off. So what we're looking at here is each corner of the field has a different color flag. And Chloe is on top of the deck, and she is going to give orders because she's going to be looking at the Doug Trio and the Diglet from the top, and whichever flag it's going near, she's going to give word down to Go and Ash to try to get them to stop.
Right.
All right, and I'll have you continue now.
So basically, yeah. So you kind of ran through all that rigmarole, and um, then um, we see one, and she's like, "It's heading towards the blue flag," and they take off towards the blue flag, and they kind of, pardon me, they headed off, and
Hello?
the other way because Pikachu's kind of got him headed off, and he turns and goes standing right there, and um, he throws his Pokeball, and it hits the poor Diglet square in the face,
Yeah,
and
that had to have hurt.
it gets him. We see that Diglet has been registered to his Pokédex, and like we got one, and
And it's at that point you see how many Diglets there are. So yeah, you caught one Diglet, but there's like a million other Diglet, and then the one Doug trio, all the way down on the end, and they have their work cut out for them.
so that's when the Diglet or the Doug trio does finally pop its heads out, and Go and Ash kind of go back to back like in an action movie, and goes like, so the leader appears, and um, and then a bunch of Diglett pop up, and the Doug trio's like, well, shoot, and he pops back, yeah, he pops back under, and then the Diglett kind of take his lead, and they're like, well, shoot, and um, oh, he's like, it's going towards the red flag, and she Doug Trio's fastest. You better go head it off. And it says, we're heading over there. And we got like a POV shot of the Diglet. And then, we see Ash and Go and Cinderace running towards the red flag. And, um, it's not popping up. And Ash is like holding on to dear life to the carrot. And then the Doug Trio pops up and Go like throws a Pokeball between Ash's legs. And then the fucking Pokeball hits the middle Doug Trio
In the
square on.
face.
Doesn't get the other two. I mean, I guess it only has to get one, and then the Pokeball does the three shakes. It catches. Um, we see the Doug Trio has been registered, and they're like, "We got." Goes like, "I got him! I got him!" And Chloe and Evie are celebrating, and then the Diglett pops up and, holy shit! Now what? And then they all pop under and kind of retreat, and we see another harvest, and Langston's like, I can't thank y'all enough for your amazing teamwork, and ting, and um they're like, we're happy to help, and they're like, I hope this means that Doug Trio is going to stay away, and
Well, I mean, you kind of caught Doug Trio, so I would hope Doug Trio would stay away.
and Ash is like, yeah, I wouldn't be too sure though. um they've got to, they're going to end up having to go somewhere, and um and then goes like, yeah, I wonder why the Diglet and Doug trio chose this particular area to hang around in, which is something you should have probably asked on your first day here. But
You know what they should have done? They should have followed the Doug Trio and the Diglet out of this
out
farm
of
area, like
yeah,
at the very end of the day, and found out where they were heading back to.
mm-hmm.
That's what they should have done.
But again, they got 20 minutes to fill here.
Yes.
Well, like actually, it's more like 18 because the last 2 minutes is credits. But whatever.
But it's at that point, just like it's a kids cartoon, that after they say that, we get a close up of Meowth, and Meowth is like, this isn't gonna work, and we have Jesse's like, but it feels so warmish and good, and James is leaning on top of a rock bent over. He's like, "There's nothing like quite like a little comfy sunshine snooze." And Wobblefat's just like, "Yeah, I want to be lazy today." And Meowth is like, "We came here because we're supposed to find the twerps, but all you want to do is nap." And Jesse's like, "But the country air and wide open spaces makes me feel like I couldn't care less about stress." And Meowth is like, "Yeah, but while you're lollygagging around like a bum on a log and your tummies are running empty, oi." I didn't get that word for word, but Meowth is like, "All right, it's high time. It's time for you to show me your stuff. The Meowth, mark your." Basically, he's looking over at a Meowth robot that they got, and this little robot is dressed up just like a Meowth, and it's whirling. It's on like a little like unicycle thing, and it has like a little hose in the back for a tail, and it just starts waving it around, and then you just see a whole bunch of water watering out the garden that's around them. And Jesse, James, and Wobbuffet throw up a balloon so they don't get wet. I don't know how they did that because they're literally just laying there, but it's a kid's cartoon. And it stops doing what it's doing, but the weeds and the carrots and everything that they just watered, it's not growing. And Meowth is like, if that's the deal, then it's time to strike up the band. And he's trying to get these carrots and stuff to grow, but it's just not growing. Doug?
And that's when our heroes come running over, and they're like, "Hey, man, knock off the noise. It's a little too loud, and you're making the Diglet and Doug trio run away." Ash is like, "What the heck do you think you're doing?" And that kind of snaps him out of it. And then they do their motto and all dystopian and
Which, and I have a certain feeling about this episode, and I know we're going to get into it, but I don't think Team Rocket really did anything wrong in this episode. I'm just going to throw that out there.
No, I mean, they've barely featured in this season at all. I mean, they weren't in it last week at all, and they were in it a little bit because of the little Pokeball machine that we're about to see here malfunction. So they didn't really. I mean, I understand it's only it's the fourth episode of the season. I mean, they've got time, but it doesn't really feel like they're a part of this universe yet.
Yeah, and you're going to slowly see that they're not quite a part of this universe either. But you'll I mean they are, but they're not. I'm not going to ruin it going forward, but what about this animation on the model that they did this week?
That's it was something.
Yeah, it was. So I mean, they really Japanese this model up. So they have a whole bunch of different snippets going through, as if they're in the desert, then they're in space, and then they're dancing, and Wobbuffet and Meowth. I love how Wobbuffet is still like a main feature on this, and then they got the big R right behind them. They're like, "Yeah, we're Team Rocket." So
And then um they're like, "Who are those guys?" And Chloe's like, "Oh, I forget." And
I
yeah,
forget.
I was like, "Oh, I'll show them." And he cuts off the music, and the little speaker robot um goes off into the distance, and Ash is like, "So it was you guys that chased the Diglet from the hill." Um, and Jesse's like, "Well, we were enjoying a nice nap, but y'all came along and ruined it." And
We
she's
wasn't
like,
even
"This."
bothering y'all.
She's like, "This farm thing is becoming a whole big bore." Um, and then James is like, "So we're gonna go back to our roots and just become good old thieves like we used to be." And when they bring down the Pelipper and he
He,
drops his little gadget, and um,
I still
this
love
time
this gadget.
this time it actually works.
Don't you love I oh, and that's the thing that we're gonna see in every single one of those every time that they do the Team Rocket balls. How when they turn the little knob, it makes Meowth kind of shiver a little bit because it's literally shaking his coin on the inside of this machine.
Well, he should be used to it. I mean, he's getting shocked every other day from Pikachu. He should be used to a little bit of a jolt.
That it's not animal abuse at all.
No, not when he can talk.
No.
Um, so out of the machine, they get a drill burr and a sand slash, which I was like, a sand slash. Look at talk about a throwback.
For real.
And then Go throws out the freshly caught Doug Trio and tells them to use Dig. They go under and trio, and then Jesse tells Drillbur to use Drill Run, and James tells Sandslash to do the same thing, and I'm like, that's kind of unoriginal, but here we are. And
And Pikachu does quick attack on the Drober and Sandslash, and boom. And let's see, Doug Trio uses Sandstorm, and don't you love how it just sucked in Sandslash and Drober like straight into a hole like quicksand?
yeah, I mean, I get it because you figure Doug Trio's got a little bit more power than a Diglet, so I could kind of forgive it. Never mind the fact that also there's only like a minute left in the episode. But yeah,
Facts.
it was a nice little bit of animation. I mean, I'll let it slide.
So, and then it's Doug Trio kind of when he's doing his attack makes a huge tornado out of dust out of the ground and just shoots Team Rocket and everyone that's with Team Rocket into the air, and they are gone, and that's it.
So they were literally on screen for maybe 5 minutes.
They literally said we have nothing else and we have 5 more minutes of this episode. How do we fill this time?
Right. So Team Rocket goes blasting off again, and then um, Go. Pardon me. Go is satisfied with his Doug Trio, and then he's kind of standing there, and he kind of starts moving his boot, and he's like, "The ground here is nice and fluffy," and everybody else kind of starts moving as well, and Chloe's like, "This is some good soil," and she's like,
I
"It's
mean
got good color too,"
that's why he chose it. Just saying.
and then they're at a big banquet of carrot curry and carrot stew, and there's a carrot cake, and carrot juice, and Langston said, "Y'all can eat as much as you want too." This time he's got his dinner spittoon because it's fancy,
Yes.
and people are going to be pissed. They're like, "There's no spittoons in this episode." Um, He's like, I rustled all this up from the carrots we He literally said rustled, so get off my back.
So,
Um,
but it's at this point that freaking Go does something that he said he wants every type of Pokemon, but he's gonna um give the Doug Trio away and keep the Diglet.
well, because he's looking off the porch as they're eating their supper. He kind of sees that the Diglet have kind of congregated um, to be where the Doug Trio is,
Yes.
and they're like, seems like they're still following the Doug Trio, and whatever Doug Trio said, you can tell that the Diglet are happy.
So it's the
And
leader of the pack again.
and that's when Go kind of has a moment. He's like, these Diglet would be in trouble without this Doug Trio. And that's when as you said, Go hands over the Pokeball, and we kind of find out that um, Diglet and Doug Trio are very good at aerating soil and getting it ready to be planted. So it's kind of a cycle, like the ecosystem. Like the Doug Trio help the soil to cultivate the plants, and then the plants get harvested, and the cycle continues. And without the Doug Trio and the Diglet performing as their part in the link in the chain, it might all fall apart, and then the farm goes to shit, and then what are we doing here? Which
Exactly.
kind of pisses me off because they could have looked that up before they came out here.
They could have, but I mean, then we
But
would have had no episode.
we would have had no episode. So it's a freaking
It's a
yeah.
catch-22 with Pokemon.
Uh, Talk about catch 22 minutes. Hey you patoo.
So,
Um,
all right, but that was this week's episode.
it was, and it wasn't the flashiest episode, but damn it if it didn't serve a purpose.
I give it 3 stars out of 5. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
A
Um,
nice little medium.
you know, um, Go did catch 2 Pokemon, but
Did he really?
he
Did he
he
really?
he Ash Ketchum'd one of them. Um, like immediately. Like I don't even think Ash ever did that.
Well, he not even just that, but he literally threw a ball at Ash Ketchum's face and just beamed him straight in the face. So he did Ash
Yeah,
Ketchum.
and Ash isn't, you know, probably isn't that used to catching balls to the face. Um, yeah, so I think a 3 is fair. It wasn't spectacular, but it wasn't like going to the dentist to watch it. Um, and then I know we're basically wrapping up. I did kind of like the end of the episode is a reverse of and they were getting to the farm because Chloe's the one that's running, and she quotes them, and she's like, "When there's this much room, you just have to run." And then that's when the credits kick in. So I thought that was a nice little ending, but that doesn't move my rating.
So, okay. Well, do you have anything else to add this week before we venture off and we head into our Poke break next week?
No, I'm excited to do the Poke break because if everything goes as we anticipated, I believe we'll be able to get our Patreon subscriber Grant on, and maybe when you're kind of getting in communication with him, maybe you can remind him about his Pikmin lecture.
Pikmin lecture, Digimon, and me and you should sit down and kind of write out some notes as to some Poke news that we can get into. So that'll be fun. I'm looking
And
forward to this next one.
And hopefully we'll have some fresher stuff, kind of like this Will Smith news. Maybe we'll have something a little more solid.
Yes. So, but all right. Well, other than that, then say goodbye, Doug.
Hi, Doug.
And this is Professor Chris G telling all of you, tune in next week for our next Poke Break, where we're going to break down a whole bunch of Pokemon news that is breaking in the Pokemon universe. And we will see you soon. And if you want to listen to the next Pokemon Master Journeys, tune in 2 weeks as we continue this long journey down this great path that we're going down. Have a good night, everyone.